how it works.
Yeah, no, it's not my Fathom. It's a different recorder. Okay, so, um, okay, let me just mute everybody and we will begin. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Um, Today we are doing chapter 36 in Tanya. 35, chapter 35 was a really powerful chapter where we all um, understood the power of actually acting in alignment with Hashem's will, not only wanting to act in alignment with Hashem's will, but how the Alter Rebbe actually explains to us that the goal and the main thing is action. Now, in this chapter, the Alter Rebbe is going to take that like a step further and connect the power of action with the purpose of creation. In other words, why did Hashem create the world? So, before we actually get to this existential question, we have to understand that in the life of a Benoni, right, and we are all potential Benonis, we are not able to completely transform our animal soul. We know that, right? But what we do transform is the power of action. We transform the koyach hama'aseh. So, in other words, you don't make your animal soul godly, but you make your actions godly. You make the power of doing godly through the performance of mitzvahs, even more so than learning Torah, right? Like we spoke last week about how when you learn Torah, it involves speech and thoughts, which are very important and need to be refined, but doesn't extend itself to the action, right? But when we actually do a mitzvah, we are now refining even the actions. So since a person, and now this is an interesting concept, a person is called an olam katan, a microcosm of the world. In the same way that Hashem created the world, Hashem created a person. So since a person is a microcosm of the world, through doing a mitzvah, he fulfills the purpose of creation in the lowest worlds, creating what we call for Hashem a dwelling place down below, a dira b'tachtonim. Now, how does this actually work? So, in order to understand this, we have to understand what is a dwelling place. What does a dwelling place mean? A dwelling place is where Hashem is revealed. Similarly, where you live is where you are most revealed, right? You can put on a very nice face when you go out into the public, but you can't pretend forever in your own home, right? Um, in your own home is where your essence is revealed, your true nature. So the same thing when we talk about Hashem having a dwelling place, we are talking about revealing Hashem. So in other words, the world was created for the purpose of revealing Hashem. Now that's interesting because Hashem created the worlds, because there are a few worlds, on different planes and on different levels of revealment and concealment. Revelation. Revealment is not a word. Um, so when we talk about the higher worlds or the lower worlds, we're not actually talking about levels of importance because we're going to see how our lower world is actually most important. But when we refer to the higher worlds and the lower worlds, of which there are four, right, we are talking about the level of revelation of godliness, the degree of revelation. So, really, to Hashem, it's all the same, right? We're talking about from our perspective. So, from Hashem's perspective, all the worlds are the same. But from our perspective, before creation, Hashem filled all space into which he created the world. But beforehand, Hashem filled everything, every corner of the world. From Hashem's perspective, even now, the world is filled with his light. Who doesn't see Hashem's light? Us mortal human beings. We don't see Hashem's light. It's concealed to us. So the parable, the mashal, is that of a teacher explaining a concept to his student, right? So in this story, in this mashal, much of what the teacher is explaining has to be concealed in order to make the explanation clear to the student. A teacher doesn't impart all his knowledge at one time. He conceals part of his knowledge in order that the student should understand and grasp that concept, right? So that the student can understand on his level, and eventually the student will be able to grasp everything that the teacher grasps, because that's the goal, to raise the student to the level of the teacher. But the concealment is only from the perspective of the student. The teacher, the knowledge is not concealed to the teacher. It's revealed to the teacher, right? Nothing is concealed from the teacher. And so it is with Hashem. From Hashem's perspective, Ein Oid Milvadoi. There is nothing besides Hashem, right? The change occurred, like from our perspective, as a result of creation. When Hashem created the world, he concealed a part of himself in order that we should exist. It was as a result of creation, because now what happens is we receive Hashem's light through concealments and garments. We still receive Hashem's light, but through a lot of concealment. So a person really cannot see Hashem and continue to live. We need these veils. We need the sunglasses to experience Hashem, because otherwise we would cease to exist. Even in the higher worlds, where there is a greater revelation of Hashem, right? So we're talking about the four spiritual worlds, Atzilus, Yetzirah, Beriah, Asiya. So degrees of revelation. Hashem is more revealed in Atzilus, less revealed in Beriah, less revealed in Yetzirah, much less revealed in our world, Asiya. Even in the higher worlds where there are angels, they are called Chayos HaKodesh, the holy animals, right? Angels, even they cannot see godliness entirely. Otherwise, they would cease to exist, because any creation that sees godliness entirely cannot remain in existence. It gets completely absorbed into Hashem, into godliness. So when we talk about the system that Hashem used to create the world, it is called Hishtalshelus Ha'olamos. It's like a chain of worlds, right? It's about descent. It means descent. It means that each world that Hashem created, there was an increase in garments and concealment of Hashem until this physical world was able to be created. Now, interestingly enough, there cannot be a lower world than this world. Like, we are the lowest that it can go. Why can't there be a lower world than this world? Because it would be so full of concealment, the Klippa would not only be unaware of Hashem, but would completely rebel against godliness, and therefore there would be no justification for creation. In other words, there has to be a possibility of revelation of godliness to justify creation, because that is the whole purpose of creation of this world. So the higher worlds, now we come to a deeper concept that the Alter Rebbe explains. So the higher worlds are not the purpose of creation. So what is? How can we say that our world, which is lower than the higher worlds, are the purpose of creation, right? Isn't like lofty levels, isn't that the purpose? No, because, and here's such an interesting concept, and it's a very similar concept to when people speak about the difference between human beings and angels. Naturally, people think of angels as more holy or more elevated, and naturally, people think of the higher spiritual worlds as more holy and more elevated. But here comes the Alter Rebbe and explains to us a concept about the purpose of creation that is actually mind-blowing, and that is because this world can be transformed from darkness into light, from ungodliness into godliness, and the higher worlds cannot. The higher worlds remain on their level. For this world, all the worlds were created in order to get to this world. Now, this answers the question, how can the higher worlds exist for the lower worlds? How does that work, right? So In other words, what it seems like is that Hashem created something significant to serve something insignificant. There's so much concealment of Hashem in this world that we seem very insignificant compared to higher spiritual planes. So what does that mean, that Hashem created these higher spiritual worlds and planes for us, for something very insignificant? And the answer is that the potential, it all boils down to potential. And it's a difference between human beings and angels and Jews and non-Jews and the higher worlds in this world. The potential to transform darkness into light can only be achieved in this world, can only be achieved by human beings and by Yidden in this world. The truth of Hashem is always hidden in the upper worlds, while here in this world, the truth can shine. How? Through doing a mitzvah. And that is the most beautiful concept of all, because we can reach a level that is higher than angels, higher than the upper worlds, higher than everything. And we are fulfilling the purpose of creation by simply doing a mitzvah. The light, which comes as a result of darkness, is actually a greater light than had it not come as a result of darkness. It's a deeper light of Hashem. The light that comes out of darkness is deeper, reflects a deeper level of Hashem than without having been concealed. So even in this world and in this state, where a person thinks he's independent of Hashem, because that's the whole nature of this world, we think we're separate, but we're not, right? But we think we're independent of Hashem. It's in this condition that Hashem wants to be revealed. And this process will actually be complete when Mashiach comes. We have not completed the process. We are starting the process now. We are in progress and in the process, right? And a very similar experience, says the Alter Rebbe, happened when the Jews received the Torah at Matan Torah. So what happened there? It says in the description of what happened when the Yidden received the Torah, Ro'im es hakolos. They saw the sounds. Usually we hear sounds, right? We don't see sounds. But that means that Hashem was completely revealed. And not only in the physical sense, right? Because, well, first of all, Hashem's inner will was revealed through the Ten Commandments, which the Ten Commandments represent all of the Torah, which is why we say in davening, right, at the end of Shemona Esrei, we say, Ki ba'or panecha nasata lanu Torahs chayim. In the light of your face, in a revealed state, you gave us Torahs chayim. Right? What actually happened when Hashem did this? When Hashem completely revealed himself? Bnei Yisrael fainted. Parcha nishmasan. Their souls left their bodies momentarily. And not only in the physical sense, but they lost all sense of self. They were, in other words, completely batul, completely nullified to Hashem. And then Hashem had to revive them. How did Hashem revive them? He revived them by giving them tal, which is literally translated as dew. But dew, the Torah, is sometimes compared to dew because it has a restorative quality. And that's how Hashem revived them. So at Matan Torah, there was like this momentary revelation of how the world is going to be when Mashiach comes, except when Mashiach comes, we're not going to faint. We're going to be able to tolerate it because the world is prepared. In Matan Torah, though, the Jew was able to survive and receive total revelation very similar to that of what's going to happen when Mashiach comes. But Matan Torah was temporary, and Bnei Yisrael sinned thereafter, right? We were able to sin because it was temporary and because of the concealment that Hashem put into this world, and our purpose is to reveal Hashem. But when we do a mitzvah, this avodah of revealing Hashem restarts, and our animal soul become a dwelling place for Hashem. Because our animal souls are considered to be the lower realm, because it comes from Klippa. It originates from something which conceals Hashem. So when we do a mitzvah and we're harnessing the power of our animal soul, we're using our animal soul as an ally, or as we said last week, despite our animal soul, we do a mitzvah. We are then actually fulfilling the purpose of creation in that moment because we are revealing Hashem in the lower realm, which is the animal soul. Hashem is revealed in the godly soul. We don't need to reveal Hashem in the godly soul, but we do need to reveal Hashem in the animal soul. So this chapter is all about purpose. And today's people talk about the whole time, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? Well, if you're a Jew, you only have one purpose, and that is to reveal Hashem in this world to bring Mashiach. And that's by doing the mitzvahs. Okay. Not such a long chapter. Does anyone have any questions? Next week is long,
I don't, I don't have any questions. That's just really very profound, what you just said.
isn't it?
Yeah. The question that kept coming up in my mind is that I know that we have the four worlds, and then when a soul comes down, it comes down through those worlds until we get
Yes.
here.
Well, not
So,
only through those worlds, but also through the 10 attributes.
right. But do we go back up?
What do you mean by that?
Do
When
we
we
go
pass
from
away?
this world back through those worlds? I mean, can we
When
ever
we when we
achieve
when we
going?
pass away, you're saying?
Is it only when we pass away? Let's say you're a regular human being and you've gained this whatever this level of devotion and dedication to God's will. Do you do you go
So
out of this
so here's
world?
my question. Here's my question. Why would you want to go to the higher worlds after hearing today's class?
I wouldn't, because here's where it all happens.
Exactly.
So we
So
don't go.
I'm gonna answer you in a minute, but
Okay.
the purpose is actually to be in this world, right? There have been moments in history where people, very high, lofty people, said, "I don't want to be in this world. I don't want to be in this world. I want to unite with Hashem on a much higher level."
Huh. Like
Right?
Our own son.
Like the Meraglim, like Aaron's sons, exactly. The Meraglim a couple of weeks ago said, "We don't want to go into Eretz Yisrael. We're gonna have to deal with this world. We don't want to go there. We're gonna have to like conquer the land and be involved with the land. We want to stay in the Midbar where it's nice and cozy and holy, and we can learn Torah all day long, and we don't have to be bothered, right?" And Hashem said, "No, sorry, that's not the purpose. That's not what I want you to do.
Mhm.
I want you to actually be in this world." So do we go to the higher worlds? Very possibly after a person passes away, your neshama does go up to the higher worlds for rewards. We also, when we do a mitzvah, your soul does get elevated to those worlds, but while you're still in this world. But the purpose is not to completely leave this world. The purpose
Mhm.
is to stay very firmly rooted in this world because this is when we're able to achieve the purpose of creation. You see, when a person passes away, they're not able to achieve Hashem's goal, which is why we do mitzvahs, l'ilui nishmas, for the elevation of the soul of the person, because they can't even do that after they pass away. We can do it, but they can't. Because the purpose is all about being in this world, battling with our stuff in this world, doing mitzvahs in this world.
Mhm.
When Mashiach comes, we're not all of a sudden going to be all lofty angels floating around in Atzilus. We're going to be firmly rooted in this world, and this world will completely reveal Hashem in a way that's even higher than the spiritual worlds.
Yay, let's do it now.
I mean, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I just, on a personal note, today is my mom's yahrzeit,
Oh,
the 8th
wow.
of Tammuz, Sarah Bat Michol. She should have a highest elevation, b'shamayim, in the
Amen.
merit of all of this learning and trying to do God's will.
Yeah, amen.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyone else have any questions? I'm sorry about the Fathom recording, but we will post the regular recording, and hopefully Sina's transcribed it. So you're muted, Sina, so we don't hear what you're
I know.
saying.
We'll see. We'll see what
Well,
happens.
we'll
I've
see.
never tried it before. I'll see whatever I get, I'll send to you.
Right, sure. Okay. Have a lovely week, everybody.
Thank you.